In this next lesson, I thought I'd just run you through these last two modulators on the end here, which are velocity and note, as they're really important ones, and also aren't mapped as default to the initialized patch, so it's a good thing to know how to set up. So far, I've only been pressing keys on my computer keyboard. So as you can see, if I press any of those, the volume doesn't change at all. And if we look down here, when I click on velocity, you can see the velocity value that's being transmitted. And because this is my computer keyboard, it doesn't move. If instead I play notes on a MIDI controller, so a velocity sensitive or dynamic keyboard or pad-based controller, you can see that dancing around now. But even though the velocity value is going up and down, we're not getting a difference in level. So the way I could set this up, for example, with one oscillator here, would be to drag it to the level dial, turn that down, and then turn the modulation amount to the max range if we wanted it to go fully across this level range here. If that was a bit too large or we didn't want it to go completely to silence, we could just turn it up a bit there. Or of course, we could also do it here on the velocity dial, display rather. But if we were using velocity to modulate a few things, we'd want to probably keep that where it is and then just adjust it on the individual controls. Now, whilst this is fine for an individual dial, so an individual oscillator, instead what you might want to do if you have lots of ones is map it to the global output, which we can do easily in the matrix. So I'll just get rid of this modulator. And let's say now we had the sub and also oscillator B sounding. Just turn them on one by one. Oh, help if I turned up the level there. So now we've got our three sound generators there. And again, we could drag this velocity curve to each level dial individually if we wanted to. But another way would be to go to the matrix, go to source, choose velocity, and then go to destination here and global and amplitude. And then we just need to turn it up. Now, we're not getting such a big difference there. And the reason for this is that at the moment, it's only going across this sort of upper range here because it's only in one direction. So this is another reason why I showed you this. I wanted to introduce you to this type column here, which sometimes gets set up appropriately for your assignment, especially if you do it by drag and drop on the front panel, but sometimes it doesn't. So at the moment, it's just one directional, but if we want to change it to bidirectional, we can click there. Now you can see we have arrows on both ends. And then you can see on the control here, it's going across the full range. So it's going both this way and this way. And it's therefore achieving the result that we want. Moving on to these next two columns here, mod and aux source. This one controls the relationship that this modulation has with either the slider at the end, if nothing's selected here, or whatever auxiliary modulator that you select here. Just to demonstrate this, if I choose the mod wheel as this auxiliary source, then what that means is the mod wheel on my keyboard, which I can adjust here using the mouse just to demonstrate, because I don't have a mod wheel on my keyboard. That now controls the amount of modulation. So it's like the mod wheel takes over this slider here. So with the mod wheel now turned right the way down, if I play notes, even though their velocity is changing, as you can see here. The modulation amount isn't changing, it's staying right in the middle there, so we're not getting the volume changing as we did before. If, however, I then turn up the mod wheel right the way to the top, then it's as if the slider is back up the top again, and once again we'll get our volume going up and down. And because it's sort of proportional to the slider here, if I set the mod wheel somewhere in the middle, then we'll just get sort of half the range. So that means essentially the mod wheel, then just gives us a sort of secondary controller for setting the amount of modulation going on without us having to go into the matrix and actually adjust the slider there. This default can be changed to the inverse, and then it just simply works the other way around. So if the mod wheel is up the top now, then we've got no modulation. And you have to set the mod wheel all the way to the bottom to get full modulation again. So it just allows the mod wheel to work the other way around if that's the way you want it to work in your particular instance. Just to show you another example of this sort of application, let's assign our LFO to our filter. So first, turn the filter on. It's just a regular low pass. Drag the LFO to the filter cutoff. Now when we play notes, we get the LFO modulating the filter up and down. And this is another example of when you want to pay attention to the type, so whether it's bidirectional or not, because at the moment it's just going up and down from the filter cutoff, and you might want it to go in both directions. Let's set it to both directions so you can hear the difference there, and also see now the range has changed on the dial, so it goes both ways. That's given us the full range. I'm also going to route our second oscillator into the filter as well. And also this up. Speed up our LFO a little bit. Maybe bring down the amount of modulation, which I can do here. So now we've got this kind of rapid fluctuation going on with the LFO there. But let's say I only want this to happen when the mod wheel is ramped up to the top there. And then what you can do is assign the mod wheel. And now, playing notes doesn't do anything, but as I adjust the mod wheel, you'll hear that LFO modulation comes in. So that's essentially what these auxiliary source modulators are all about. And often you'll want things like velocity and the mod wheel and different performance controls to be your auxiliary sources. So it allows you to create more expressive effects.